there is no such thing as a credit score.
So you literally are playing the banks at their own game.
Exactly, yeah.
Because you know how it works because you've worked for them.
They are just lending money to people that just doesn't exist.
And people get into 6, even 7 figures of borrowing doing this and not pay any interest.
This is where it gets clever, and we play a game here. So
Ooh.
I can go one step better than that as well. So
How to raise money from the banks at 0% interest. I have to be straight up with you here. I didn't think you could do this anymore. I thought it was a game of 20 years ago where you could balance transfer and balance transfer and balance transfer. I thought the banks had stopped it all with big balance transfer fees. I remember back in the day, I know you'll probably talk about it, when we were buying properties on credit cards.
yes, yeah.
And I felt like that was all over. I didn't think you could do it anymore.
Okay.
And obviously, maybe 6 months ago, we reconnected, and you blew us all away with all the stuff that you know about long-term getting 0% interest.
Okay.
I will be straight up with you. I'm skeptical. So I am going to grill the shit out of you.
Good, bring it on.
And I also understand that, I don't know if this is the right term, but I'm kind of calling you a whistleblower.
Okay.
Because is it true you used to be an IFA?
That's right. Yeah, I was a financial advisor till 2009. And prior to that, I used to work in a call center selling loans and credit cards. So got a lot of inside information.
Right.
So how it works, yeah.
So you've sold credit cards and loans, and now you're out here teaching people how to play the banks at their own game.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you used to be an IFA.
Yes.
Which means you can't just go giving wild financial risky advice.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not giving any advice today either, just to be super clear. There's a caveat. This is kind of the information I'm going to share is readily available online. It's just interpreting the information. A lot of people don't know what a lot of things mean, as I'll cover as we're going through today.
Okay, so feels like the first thing I should ask you is like credit score.
Okay.
Do you need a really good credit score to be able to get 0% interest on credit cards and loans? If you do, how can you fix it quick?
Yeah, so for sure, yeah, you definitely need to have a good credit rating. There's 3 credit reference agencies. There's one called Experian, one called Equifax, and one called TransUnion. I think they change the name quite often. In fact, the best place to go and find your credit score is if you go to a website called checkmyfile.com. It's not actually a credit reference agency, but it's like a central portal that gives you access to all 3 credit reference agencies. It's free for 30 days, and then I think it's about $14.99 a month. Well worth doing. So when you log into that and register your details, it will show you all of your credit history from all 3 different credit reference agencies. So it's good to get a good picture of where you're at. So the score ranges from 0 to 999 being the top.
Yeah.
And you kind of need to be in the top third of that band to get good credit. But the beauty of using credit cards is that, again, something that most people don't realize, the more you use your credit, the more credit cards you have, the more credit agreements you've got going, obviously that you maintain payments on, the higher your score goes up. So in order to borrow bigger chunks of money, you need to have a better credit score. But there's also a thing called your credit profile. So you need to be active. So you could have a 999 score, which is really, really high. But if you're not really active with your credit, then people don't want to lend too much to you. So you need to be really active and have a high score. So, top third, so 600-700 plus is an ideal place to be at.
Okay, so I think later then I'll ask you about some little hacks to get your credit score up.
Sure.
And I'd also like to know kind of how much can people realistically borrow.
Okay.
But first, just give us like 2-3 minutes of your story. You used to be an IFA, you used to sell credit cards and loans, you've seen it from both sides.
Yeah, so my sales career started, it was mid-90s, and I worked in a bank, it's called NWS Bank back in the day, part of the Bank of Scotland group, and I was quite naive to it really, but I thought I was just going to be talking nicely to people. I didn't realise it was hard cut sales. But it was all about selling loans, and then moved into credit cards soon after. So I could see how all the systems worked. I did that for about 3 years in total. And then I became a financial advisor. That was about 1999, ran through till 2009, just after the credit crunch, actually. So I'd spent a lot of time studying, thinking that I was the expert. I was thinking I was the clever one. I was the qualified one. And all the financial services industry does is kind of overcomplicate something that's quite simple, to make people think that they need to be paying financial advisors and fund managers and all these insurance companies loads and loads of money. In fact, to be quite blunt about it, I actually call the financial services industry legalized criminality. Because
Wow.
they're kind of doing things that
How can
we
you back
can't
that
do.
up? What do you mean by that?
Well, to demonstrate, I mean, if you had a £10 note in your back pocket and you took that £10 note out and put it on a table and took a photo of it and then printed that picture out and then went and spent that on the high street, what's going to happen to you? You're going to get arrested, right?
Yeah.
You can't print money. You can't just do that. But let me ask you this. If you had £10, or let's say £100, you put £100 into your bank account, you've effectively lent your bank £100 now, right? So of that £100, question I ask my clients when I'm sitting down with them is, how much of that £100 can they then legally lend to other people? And it ranges anything from 80, 90 to 100%. And people would think that 100% is stretching it. It's actually 10 times the amount. So they're almost doing what we're not allowed to do. They can legally print money. Now, they don't physically print it. As you know, it's just button presses on a computer. It's just made up. So they're not actually photocopying money as such, but they are just lending money to people that just doesn't exist. It's just made up. It's just button presses.
Wow. Okay. So before I sort of lever into how to get the credit cards, how to do the balance transfers, and sort of how to play the game, what are some things that you saw that kind of, I guess, surprised or shocked you selling credit cards and loans? So number one is they basically can create money whenever they want. Number two is they can lend or invest 10 times your money. Have you got any others?
Yeah, I suppose it's the way that your credit score is impacted based on just little answers to questions. So first of all, when I was working in the call center selling loans and credit cards, they just teach you what to do to get through each step of it. So within 5 minutes, I can teach people more than the people that work in the call centers actually know as well, by the way. So all the other experiences come from since working in there. But one thing that I always found surprising was when I was selling finance to people, the answers to questions would impact the score massively. For example, when you first apply for any credit, they'll ask you a series of questions, typically 20, 25 questions. Obviously, your name, your address, your date of birth, your marital status, your residential status. So, for example, being married has a higher scoring field than being divorced or separated. I don't know the exact kind of order, but certainly married is at the top of it. And then residential status, homeowner has a higher scoring field than being a tenant. Back in the day, there used to be a different set of rules between whether your property was furnished or unfurnished. And if it's unfurnished, you had more rights, or furnished, you had more rights. I can't remember now. It's completely changed. But they still ask the question, are you renting furnished or unfurnished? Because that would have a different score, effectively. And then what did you want the money for? So at the top of the list was home improvements. So I can't tell you what to say, but if you were to let the people know when you're applying for finance that you're wanting to spend the money on home improvements, that's going to have a higher scoring field because you're effectively borrowing money for an asset rather than for a holiday or for a car or debt consolidation, for example.
What about if you put to invest in more property?
So if you say anything to do with business, because what we talk about is borrowing money through personal credit cards, if you're using it for business purposes, then that's just a computer says no.
Right.
You tell them that.
So you won't even get the loan?
No, exactly.
Oh, wow.
It'll be bounced straight away.
So home improvements is the top thing.
If you were looking to borrow money for home improvements, you would have a higher chance of borrowing a higher amount of money over a longer term as well.
So what you're saying then is it's not just your financial status applying for a loan, it's how you fill in the application.
For sure.
That has a big impact on the credit score, and just filling in information can increase or reduce your credit score.
Yeah. Quick thing on credit score as well. There is no such thing as a credit score. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when you go into Equifax, Experian, Call Credit, or any one of those credit reference agencies, they will give you a score, which is just to give you an indication of what your information on there means. Every single lender that you apply to has their own internal scoring fields, which I've kind of just alluded to. So if you've got two people that are kind of identical and they both have a 999 score, one could apply to a lender and get accepted, the other one could get declined. So even though your credit score is perfect, you can still get declined based on your profile. So that's why it's important to be really active with your credit as well.
So when you say active with your credit, what you're saying then is you will improve your score and your lendability the more money you're borrowing.
Yeah, and the more active you are with it as well. So
So if you have a load of limits, but they're dormant, they penalise you.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a use it or lose it kind of scenario
Right.
here. So
Yeah.
if you have a credit card, let's say you got a credit card with a £20,000 limit and you've not used it for a period of time, what are they going to do? Well, if you think about it from their point of view, the banks borrow money from the money markets and pay a small fee for that. Now they have, if you've got a £20,000 limit that you're not using, they've got £20,000 earmarked to be sent to wherever you put that credit card within seconds. Now, if you've not used it for a period of time, they're paying money on this interest.
Right.
It doesn't look like you're going to use it, so they'll take it off you.
Is that why sometimes when they send you letters, they reduce your
Yeah,
credit limit?
Yeah.
But then if you're using them quite regularly and paying them back, they'll send you a letter increasing your credit
Wanted to
limit.
increase it, yeah. One thing I find though is that
It's such a game, isn't it?
It's amazing. It is just a game as well. This is I like to play it like a game. And but just one thing on the credit limit as well. There is a date in the year that they tend to take that limit as well. So if you've got a £20,000 limit, you don't use it for a while. The date that they take it away from you tends to be about the day before you need it. I don't know how they manage this, but they do it every single time. But you mentioned the game as well, and I refer to, you've played Monopoly, right?
Yeah.
So if you read
bank always seems to win in Monopoly.
Of course, yeah, for sure. But if you read the rules in the back of in the instructions, the question is, what happens if the bank runs out of money? It says the bank doesn't run out of money. If it runs out of cash, simply write some more on a piece of paper and use that. I mean,
that's what the rules of Monopoly say.
Yeah.
It sounds like our banking system.
It's exactly the same.
Which
so clear.
I think is your point.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me ask you this. This is an interesting one. Is the credit scoring system for you or for the banks?
It's to protect their interest. I think if you're really, really bad with your money, then rightly so, they shouldn't lend you anymore because it's probably going to get you into trouble.
And them, because it's them.
And them as well, for sure. If you're somewhere in the middle, the problem is if you've we've all been through challenges in the past. If you've had a challenge, financial challenge, it's going to affect you for up to 6 years. So all your financial historical information stays on your credit file for up to 6 years. So it could be that you've been through a blip, something happened that was technically out of your control, and you're now knackered for the next 6 years. There will be lenders that will lend to you, but they'll lend to you at 5, 6, 10 times the amount. So they're it's an excuse to make even more money.
Yeah.
It's the people that need the help the most get penalised the most, unfortunately. But if you've got a really, really perfect credit score and you're able to borrow more and manage it, arguably you're going to be borrowing a lot more. So it works out for them either way, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. So can you really borrow on credit cards and loans from the banks at 0% and avoid balance transfers or it being sustainable and scalable without there being so much fees?
Yeah. Okay. So this is where it gets clever, and we play a game here. So for most people, when I talk about the balance transfer exercise, for most people, they're not going to be able to do it straight away because you're going to have access to multiple cards with quite high limits that enable a balance transfer at 0%. Now, they're few and far between.
But there are some.
But there are some out there.
So there are some credit cards that will offer 0% with no fees.
Exactly.
Balance transfer.
So
right.
if you go on to any of the price comparison websites, so I like Martin Lewis, the Money Saving Expert, or moneysupermarket.com, any of those.
Yeah.
And then in the top left, you'll see under credit cards, there's 3 or 4 different types of credit cards that you want to be looking at. So one is a rewards card. So that's where you'll get rewarded for using it. One is a 0% card. So that is, you can go and pay for something with your credit card and there's no interest to pay. You just pay the minimum monthly payment. And then the third type is a 0% balance transfer card or balance transfer cards. So they're designed to do specifically that, transfer the balance from an existing card onto a new one. Now, the 0% periods will vary from 2 or 3 years. At the moment, the rates are around about 0% for about 34 months, I think you can get at the moment.
Wow.
So it's a long time, but that's for balance transfers. So the best game to play is if you've got a card that rewards you, for example, gives you cash back or air miles or some kind of points, pay for your items with that. And then the reward cards give you rewards for using them, but obviously it's not going to come for free. So American Express, for example, Amex Gold has a card where they give you bonus points, something like 20 or 30,000 bonus points just for signing up for the card, and then 1 point for every pound spent. And 65,000 points will get you business class upgrades, and it's nice to have. But the interest rate is 87%, which is really high. But if you were to pay for the item on that, and before the interest is due, transfer that entire balance onto a 0% balance transfer card, you've kept the points and you've now got the benefit of 0% interest. So
Right.
you're having your cake and eating it. Now, the downside with most balance transfer cards is when you do that transfer from one card to another, they charge you a fee, a balance transfer fee. And that can be 3 or 3.5%. So if you're transferring, say, £30,000, it's almost £1,000. And then if you look on the list of cards that are available at the moment, most times when I look on the list of cards, there's about 2 cards that have a 0% balance transfer fee. What that means is if you can get whatever you can spend on card number 1, for example, and you get 2 cards that have a 0% balance transfer fee, whatever the limit is on both of those, you can effectively transfer the money from one card to the other and back again every single month. You don't have to stop. You don't have to just do it once, because that's what they're designed to do. And it's costing you no money. It's literally free money.
So you borrow the money on one card.
Yep.
Find a balance transfer that charges you nothing, and then transfer it to another.
Yep.
Then you find another balance transfer, and then you play tennis between those two
Pretty much.
cards.
Yeah, pretty much.
And realistically, how long can you do this for?
Well, you can do it indefinitely, really, because they are balance transfer cards designed to do balance transfers. So there's no reason why they would stop you. They don't expect you to play that kind of game forever. They expect most people will maybe do it once or twice, then forget to transfer it, and then.
So they're hedging that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And it's, I liken it to like being a drug dealer. Is some top business advice for you, So going right out there on this one.
Elon Musk said that drug dealers know more about business than 95% of college professors.
Yeah, it's probably right, actually. Spot on.
So I'm just defending you here.
For sure, yeah. Well, let me back it up. But I liken the banking industry to drug dealers. And, the advice, if you want to be the best drug dealer in the world, I've never done it. I'm not suggesting everybody does this for real, but you'll get the point. So what you do, you go to the children's playgrounds and you give the kids free drugs and you get them hooked. You've now got clients for life. And I use that analogy because it's very, very hard hitting deliberately, because that's how the financial system works.
Well, that's how the banks do. They get you to open an account and give you a free book and a free calculator and everything really young age.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It gets you hooked in through the drugs. But also the bigger drug debt you get is when you leave school, you go to university. Congratulations, you got your first £60,000 drug debt, as in, you got a loan that they gave you that you didn't really know anything about because they don't teach you that stuff. And you've now got to work hard for the rest of your life to pay that thing off. Now, if you miss a payment, then your credit rating's knackered for 6 years. So you're scared of missing a payment now. So this is how the modern day slave system works. You leave school, you go into university, you've now got a debt that you've got to service every single month. So you need a job to go and do that. Now you need a car, which is more finance. You need maybe a mobile phone and other things. Everything's on finance now. And before you know it, you're maxed out and people are working just to pay the bills, just to go to work. And it's just an onward cycle. They're hooked on the drugs.
Right.
And it's just the same as drugs. It really is. That's why I liken it to that analogy, because it's very, very close to it.
And so you're basically, because you were selling credit cards and loans, you know how the system works from the inside, and you're essentially just using the bank's rewards and incentives that they give you, but they're expecting you to go beyond your 30-day credit. Therefore, the 87% interest kicks in. Yep. You're saying do a bit of research, be smart, move your money around all the time and play them at their own game.
Simple as that, yeah. Simple. It's not, it's not easy to do. You've got to be organized with it. So if you're the kind of person that's just going to forget these things, don't even go down there. But what I would recommend is getting a spreadsheet, just a very, very basic spreadsheet. List all your cards, obviously all the full details, but just list all your cards, payment dates, limits, what you're able to do, yada, yada, yada. As an extra thing, what I tend to do is put the dates that payments are due in my calendar. So you can see
diary reminders,
as a diary reminder. Set to make sure that you pay the minimum monthly payments anyway, just as a catch-all.
Well, you set that as a direct debit, do you?
As a direct debit, yeah. So at least you're not missing any payments, because that's the key thing.
Yeah.
But you can get even smarter with that. So, for example, if you get a points card, things like, if you shop at Tesco, you can get a Tesco credit card that gives you the Tesco Club Card points, and all the supermarkets have them. If you go shopping once a week, let's say you spend £100 a week on shopping, go shopping on a Monday, pay for your shopping with a credit card rather than a debit card. Because if you use your debit card, where does the money come from? It comes from your own bank. What does that do to help you with your credit score?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
So let's just pause there. Keep that in your head. I just want to stress that, because I did a video saying why you should basically not use debit cards and use credit cards. And it went quite viral. And I got quite a lot of hate for it.
Okay.
Now, because they think it's debt. But as long as you make the payment within 30 days, if you spend $4,000 a month, you can spend that on your credit card. So that's nearly 50 grand a year of rewards and bonuses you could get.
Yep.
You're also increasing your credit score. But importantly as well, many of your purchases are insured.
Yes.
If you buy on your debit card, your purchases might not be insured.
Always.
Whereas the credit card will insure the purchase. Would you agree with that?
100%. Yeah, definitely. And I can go one step better than that as well. So you say your credit score goes up by paying it off at the end of the month. Every transaction on a credit card takes 5 days to clear. So rather than just paying once a month, it's the easiest thing to do, and you can do that. But if you get super organized with this, and if you go shopping every week and spend £100 a week, not that you can get anything for 100 quid, but you get the point. Go shopping on a Monday, leave it 5 days, pay it off on the Saturday or the Sunday, the following 5 days later.
Why is that a benefit?
Well, if you then go the next week and you spend again the 100 quid and then you pay that off 5 days later, what you're now doing is borrowing money and repaying it 4 or 5 times a month rather than once a month. So your score goes up 4 or 5 times quicker.
Right. Woo. Okay. So I'm still a bit like, this sounds good and exciting. And of course, you've made the caveat, this is not financial advice. You're just sharing things you've learned. And you've said if people haven't got any organization or discipline, they should be very wary of this. But aren't the banks at some point going to go, oh, well, you know, they've been using all these credit cards for 2 or 3 years and they've racked up all this interest-free money. Now we're stopping it.
Yeah, potentially. But that'd be just one card. How many cards are available right now?
Don't know how many.
Hundreds, thousands of them.
Right.
There's loads. So there's loads of different lenders, and each lender has multiple cards, and then there's new offers coming out all the time. So the objective is to get a portfolio of cards. Now, don't just have one. And this is a common misconception as well. People think that, well, you know, I've had a credit card for a while. I've had a load of debts on it. I managed to pay it off, so I've got rid of it and I cut it up. It's the worst advice financially you can do. What you should do is keep it. Keep all of your cards, never get rid of them, and use them all. So again, it's being active with your credit file by having multiple cards, multiple accounts going on all the time. So rather than...
And the banks don't talk to each other. They're not like...
No. So all the information is shared, so they can all see that individual information. But they've just got to look at their own internal risk, their own internal risk. So they've got to make their own... They've got to be deemed to be responsible lenders. So that's why they ask the questions and affordability and so on. But as long as you're servicing the debt, there's actually no limit to how many credit cards you can have.
What's the most credit cards you've ever seen anyone juggle around?
69. Yeah, he said he had 70 cards, but he'd lost one because one of these where you don't use them for a period of time.
Right.
69 cards, yeah. Not even that, honestly.
69. He was having it away.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
69 credit cards.
Yeah.
And what's the most you've seen anyone like borrow and have on all of these cards?
The biggest limit I've seen is £1.4 million on one single card. Yeah.
And like, can people get into 6, even 7 figures of borrowing doing this?
Yeah, for sure.
And not pay any interest?
Potentially. So it can get a little bit, again, it comes back to, in order to pay, all right, so there's 2 or 3 things. There's interest. So there's 0% purchase cards. So you can buy something and have no interest to pay for typically a couple of years, let's say. Or you can have a 0% balance transfer card, which tends to offer a longer 0% period. So that's where you pay for the items with your rewards card and then transfer that balance. Now,
but you've got to make sure that there's a 0 balance transfer fee on that.
Potentially. Now, it could be that there's a transfer fee to pay. Let's say it's 2 or 3%. But the 0% period is 2 or 3 years. So if you, rather than doing the balance transfer backwards and forwards every month, which is a little bit of a hassle, if you wanted to just pay for your item once on your rewards card and then transfer it onto a balance transfer card and just leave it there and pay your monthly payments, you're probably better off looking at a longer term 0% period and then absorb whatever the fee is. Just factor it into your calculation. So if the fee is, let's say, 2 or 3%, like I say, on 10 grand, it's £200 or £300, isn't it? So if you're happy to just add that to the total amount and then you're paying 0% interest, all you're then doing is paying your monthly payment, which can be as low as just 1% of the balance.
And what kind of things can you use this money for? Could you buy property with it? Could you buy assets with it? Or is it just got to be for consumer use?
So the credit cards are designed as personal cards. There are business credit cards available, but they're way less flexible than what we're talking about here with the personal cards. So you're supposed to use it for personal use, but you can use it for education. You can use it for
so if you want to do some courses.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. It works really, really well for that.
Yeah.
Because the whole banking system is built around lending money to people to get education through universities and so on. So, but home improvements, anything to do with property, renovations and so on, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't believe you can use a credit card directly to buy property for money laundering laws and so on.
Yeah, and I think when you actually come to apply for the mortgage, that's going to be difficult.
Yes,
But what if you'd racked up, some good credit, and you'd moved some money into a bank and then moved it to another bank and then another bank over a few months, and then could you play a game maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That could be potentially, possibly, maybe. Yeah.
What's the biggest risk in doing this? Because obviously we need people to be creative but careful.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the biggest risk is obviously if you get out of control with this and you miss some payments, things start to stack up. See, the beauty of credit cards is they are the fastest thing to help you improve your credit score.
Right.
So we'll cover that separately. But just by making payments, you're literally just borrowing money and then paying it back is going to move your credit score up. But the opposite is true. So if things are tight, so most entrepreneurs, you'll have a really good month and then you have 1 or 2 bad months. If you're unable to service your debts, then that's going to cause you problems if you're not making payments. But to kind of give you a bit of a safety net as well, again, it's a reason for having multiple cards. So if for whatever reason you couldn't service your payments 1 month, you've at least got access to funds elsewhere. Now, it's never good financial advice to borrow money to pay a repayment, but surely it's better to borrow money to make a payment than to not. But that's down to the individual. But it's a case of getting super organized and just making sure that you're on top of your payments, like with anything. But it's just, I suppose everything's relative. You can be servicing just a few £100 worth of credit cards, or multiple tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, and it's the same thing. It's just they're just numbers.
Yeah.
As long as everything stacks up, then you've got to be organized with it, really.
Okay. So if someone runs a business, should they be getting business versions of these cards?
Potentially, but the business cards tend to be less flexible, and you can only typically get one for a business. So most people that use these for business purposes, it just becomes a director's loan.
Okay, is it one or one per partner?
Potentially one per partner, but I don't know if that's around the same accounts, whether that would be a shared account. I'm not entirely sure.
And what about like if you run ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, Facebook ads, could you be using a credit card for these and racking up the air miles and the Bonvoy points?
Again, I'm going to give you 1,000,001 reasons why you should have multiple credit cards, and ads is another one of those. So in order to... A basic business is you'd spend money on adverts. So let's say in a 30-day month, on week 1, you run some adverts, Facebook charges you £1,000. Now, if you're going to pay for that out of your own money, you're limited as to how much money you've got in your bank account. And that's when your money's gone, you stop spending. But if you've got a credit card, you can use the credit card to pay for that £1,000 worth of ad. But if you think about it, if somebody's clicked on your adverts, it's because they're interested, and they should, at least some of those, become clients. And that should happen within a few days of them clicking on the advert if you've got some kind of, a fast call to action, a decent system, yeah. So certainly by the time that £1,000 is now due to be paid on the credit card, the money from the clients is already in your bank account. So the clients are paying for their own adverts. So you don't even have to fund your own adverts.
So this is, when people say a license to print money.
Yes, this is exactly
this
what
is
it is.
Potentially one.
For sure.
Now, like you said, you have to have a fast materializing funnel or system. But yeah, I don't think I've ever really heard anyone say that. So the great thing about this is, as a small business, you could actually grow much more quickly.
Yes.
Because it's a way of borrowing money without putting any debt on the company.
Yeah, exactly.
And like you said, to get your clients to pay for your ads.
Get your adverts for free and get the clients to pay for their own adverts.
Wow.
How many ad accounts do you want to run at once? So just get multiple cards again. So if you're just running one advert, if your business is based on just running adverts on Facebook, and Facebook decides to close your ad account down, if anybody's in the industry,
then that happens all the time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. If you've not had it closed down, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then you can't even use that same credit card to open up another Facebook ad account. But there's a workaround there, because if you were to lose that card and they sent you a new one out with new numbers on, it wouldn't even be the same card. Just thinking about it. But also have multiple cards. Have a purpose for every card. Have one credit card just for your Facebook adverts. Have one just for your YouTube adverts. Have one just for your shopping, for example. And then you can have all your it's like itemized bills then. So when your credit card statement number 1 comes through, that's just your Facebook fees. And then you've got another one just for your shopping. And then if you've got 3 or 4 businesses, you could have a different card for each business. So you can give your accountant your statement for credit card number 1. That's business number 1. Credit card 2, business number 2. Helps with your accountancy fees as well. Saving money all day long.
Wow. So what are the main things that you can get as rewards, and where do you think the big sort of bonuses, benefits or savings are?
Yeah, so little things like your Tesco club cards, card points, and the supermarkets that you shop in anyway. It's worth having a credit card for that particular shop because you link it up to your loyalty scheme.
Yeah.
Amex tends to be really good. Now, Amex have got a whole load of different cards.
Yeah.
The platinum one is like the top one.
It's green, gold, platinum.
Yeah, there's a blue one, I think, as well. But the gold tends to be best for most people. Now, the platinum, I think it's £650 a year fee, and they charge you after about a month, and it's something like £600 or £700 interest. And I don't even know what the points are. You get a lot of points for it. But the best one for most people is gold. Now, if you take out a new gold card, quite often they run incentives. But typically, even without an incentive, I think they give about 20,000 points just to sign up. And then you get 1 point per pound spent. There is a fee of, I think it's £200 a year, £195 a year. But you don't pay anything for the first year. So you could literally just run it for a year and then get rid of it if need be.
Right.
But that's a good one to get started for sure. Now, the benefit of those points is you can exchange them for business class upgrades. You can use them for family days out. You get access to special enclosures and fast tracking queues and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, my business partner's been hacking this for nearly 20 years.
Nice.
And between us, we've traveled pretty much all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not quite free, but almost free business class flights.
Nice.
What's a business class flight to Dubai? Probably $5,000.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Could be more,
yeah.
and you're paying under $1,000.
Mm-hmm. It's not too shabby, is it?
No, it's not bad. And then
for free.
Yeah. Wow. And just for changing your spending habits, I think.
Yeah, just for doing what you were going to do anyway.
Yeah.
Just using a different card instead of your debit card. Just a quick reminder, just while I mentioned debit card as well. So, if you've been given flack for people for saying you get rid of your debit card.
Well, don't use your debit card, use your credit card.
100%.
But they're all like, oh, you're getting into debt.
Yeah, well, you're not, because it's the same money that's coming out anyway, especially if you pay it off after 5 days. So first of all, your credit score is going to go up. But just as a little reminder to help people remember this as well, credit cards will help your credit rating, debit cards won't. So if you're going to spend the money anyway, it's the same money, it's coming out of your bank account anyway. It's just 2 steps rather than 1 step. So you go shopping on a Monday, pay it off the following week, and then you go shopping again, pay it off the following week. Just one little tip to help people remember that is if you jumble up the letters that spells debit card, it spells bad credit. In clear sight. So try it. I'll help you remember.
Yeah, because just a quick one, does it not affect your credit score if you applied for too many cards?
Yeah, it's a really, really valid point. So the way that the credit files and the credit history and the credit score works is if your credit files contain factual information about your credit history. So if you have a credit card with Barclaycard, it'll say you've got a credit card with Barclaycard, this is your limit, and this is your current balance, and this is your payment history over the last 6 years, and all that's listed on there. Now, if you go and apply for credit, whether it's a mobile phone, car insurance, new bank account, anything at all where they have to check your credit history, a record of that search will be kept on the file. So the problem that we've got is what we want to do is if we want to get access to a big chunk of cash, one of the things that we've mentioned is how to get 50, 100,000 pounds worth of cash. You're very, very unlikely to get one credit card giving you 50 grand straight away.
Right.
But I can give you countless stories of clients that have got between 50 and 150,000 pounds in the space of an hour.
Wow.
And they do that by applying for multiple cards.
At the same time.
At the same time.
And that's important.
And that's the key thing. So if you go today to apply for a credit card and that lender will do a credit search and then you wait for that to arrive, for example, and then if you go even the following day and go and apply to get a second credit card, it's going to be an automatic computer says no.
Right.
Because it's going to show up that you had a search yesterday. They're going to assume that you're panicking and for whatever reason, it's just going to be computer says no. But the credit files tend to, not always, but in most cases, get updated once every 24 hours at midnight. So, big one. So
it's one of those again,
yes,
isn't it? Okay.
Yeah. So
you literally are playing the banks at their own game.
Exactly, yeah.
Because you know how it works because you've worked for them.
For sure. So every single one of them will do a credit search, but that won't register straight away. So you could apply for 10, 12, 15 credit cards all in one go.
Yeah.
You'll get the outcome of those credit cards. And then, of course, if you look at your credit file the following day, it's going to show that you've had 10 searches. So, of course, your credit score is going to dip a little bit. There's no massive issue.
But then you can just start spending on them and ramp it back up.
As soon as the credit cards as soon as the credit cards get added to your credit file, your score will go back up again anyway because you've got access to more credit.
Yeah.
Now, your credit searches will show up instantly, as in overnight. Any new credit will take between 4 and 8 weeks to get added to your credit file.
Right.
So if you're about to apply for a mortgage, then don't do something like this. But if you're clean for the next 2 or 3 months, then it's not going to do you any harm.
But listening to you, it sounds like if you want to apply for a mortgage in 3 or 6 months and you haven't got great credit, playing this game could get your credit up to help you get a mortgage in the future.
Absolutely.
If you play it well.
Yeah, there's loads of different things you can do. So if your credit rating is not perfect, then just use credit cards. Just buy stuff, pay it off. Just forget your debit card. Just be really, really active with them as well. But pay them off as often as you can. So every transaction takes 5 days to clear. So every 5 days, make it, pay off whatever you spent on it the previous week. But if your credit score is like less than 500, you need to build that up. That's poor credit. So the beauty of credit cards is that they actually have a whole list of what's called credit builder credit cards. Now they're designed to do completely different from what we've just been talking about, but they're designed to build your credit rating. And that's the sole purpose.
Right.
So the beauty of a credit builder credit card is that when you make a transaction on it, it'll build your credit score up. It tends to move your credit score kind of twice as quick as a normal card as well. But the interest rates are astronomical, they're 40, 50%. If you applied for a new credit card, you're likely to get maybe £200, £250 limits. In some cases, they charge interest from day one. So be very, very careful with these. Never, ever carry a debt on them. Just use them, like we've just said. Buy stuff that you were going to buy anyway, whether it's a drink or paying for your petrol or your food, for example, but then pay it off as quickly as you can, or certainly within the 5 days, so you don't incur any interest. And every time you do that, your credit score will go up. And within 3 to 6 months, your credit score can go from like less than 500 to over 700, 800. I've seen it go up that quick. It's also good for people new to the country. So if you don't have a credit profile, typically you need to have 3 years address history in this country. I've seen people that have been, within 12 months of coming to the country, getting some of these credit builder cards just to start the process.
Wow. So you've agreed to do a 6-week series masterclass inside Money.School. So Money.School is my global online school, disrupting the banking system to help you make, manage, and multiply more money, to help you get your costs and taxes down and your income streams up. And obviously, getting loans and credit can dramatically increase the speed at which you can invest in assets. And obviously, having really good credit score is really important for you to be an investor. And we teach you inside Money.School how to be an investor. I think there's well over 200 hours, hundreds of hours of courses, resources, and masterclasses to build multiple income streams. And this is the newest, hottest online series we're doing inside Money.School. You don't have to pay anything extra. All you have to do is be a Money.School member. The link is Money.School. I won't be offering this anywhere else. So the only place people will be able to get this is inside Money.School. And I mean, I don't see you actively teaching this out there on the internet.
I should do.
But you'll give this as an exclusive for us?
100%, yeah. There we are.
Okay, great. So just go join Money.School now, and don't wait till after this or wait till tomorrow or later because you'll end up forgetting. Money.School is less than 50p a day. So it's £15 a month, I think. By the way,
put it on a credit card.
Put it on a credit card, yeah. So almost free. And actually, you can claim this back as education if you've got the right accountant, because obviously you're educating yourself on making money. So the link to join is Money.School. Have you got any final words, Chris? Anything you would say to people? I
suppose, don't go and do anything crazy until you've seen the training.
And gone through the modules.
And go through the modules. We're going to start in the next few days. So,
and just to quickly jump in, we're going to record them live.
Yes.
Which means people can ask you questions live if they join now.
Yep.
And then once the 6 weeks are finished, all the recordings will go up inside Money.School. So join now, grab them live, ask Chris. If you can't make the lives, don't worry, they'll always be inside Money.School.
There we go.
Yeah.
So don't go applying for any credit cards just yet. Let me show you the way to do it, because you can really slow down the process if you do it wrong. But one thing you can do is just call your existing credit card companies and ask them to increase your credit limit. And while you're at it, ask them to reduce your interest rate.
What, and they'll just do it if you ask them?
It's been known.
Wow. And that'll make Money.School free.
Well, easily.
All right. Chris, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Where can people find out about you? Where can they follow you? Where they can get more information from? Just, I don't, do you do any content online?
I don't do as much as I should do. I've got a recently turned 3-year-old, so he's my full-time job at the moment. So I've been kind of preserving my time a little bit to try and spend as much time with him as well. But I run a software company where I help people with like lead automation. It's called leadautomate.com. You can find more about me on the social medias as well, Chris Rowell. So I'm on most of them.
Okay, so Rowell.
Correct, yeah.
Chris Rowell. They'll find you're on socials.
Yeah, there we are.
And then leadautomate.com.
That's right.
Yeah. Chris, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And remember, if you don't risk anything, you risk everything.